It's a political problem that's been around for decades. Is it about the message or the messenger? For Kamala Harris, it seems her salesmanship of popular policies is being weighed and found lacking by voters. That's the central theme of a new and pretty enlightening piece from our very own Catherine Rampell, who is here at the table. What is fascinating about that is that this is one of those things where you look at people's views and they're blind on whose name is attached to the views.
Right.
And tell us more about what it found.
So YouGov, the polling organization, polled Americans on 130 or so policies from both of the candidates and didn't tell the survey respondents whose policies were whose. And they asked people, do you like it? Do you dislike it? And the general finding was that Kamala Harris's agenda was head and shoulders much more popular than Trump's. Almost all of her policies got majority support. Only about half of Trump's did. And actually, they had done a version of this, YouGov, a few months ago, where Trump's policies fared even worse. The reason why he's finally above water on about half of his policies is that he's kind of had this recent panderpalooza where he is giving away tax breaks to everyone. No tax breaks on no taxes on Social Security benefits or tips or what have you. So Kamala Harris does much better in a blind test than Trump. She does better on almost.
That is immensely interesting, which tells me she can't articulate.
Yes, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that, I promise. Okay. So we also looked at it by category. So we looked at it, healthcare, crime, foreign policy, immigration, et cetera. She bests him on almost every category. There are a couple where they're basically tied, the economy and immigration, actually. But she even bests him on crime. Which I think is super fascinating because if you ask voters in the abstract, who do you trust more on crime? They overwhelmingly say Trump. But then if you look at their policy preferences, again, head and shoulders, Kamala Harris does better, in part because people don't know what all of her policies are.
In 2019, I thought she wasn't being authentic personally. Remember, her critique from the left was that she was a cop. Like many people called her that when she was GA. And I'm not mad at that, personally. Like, I liked when she was on that Senate hearing committee and she was being a cop. I'm like, go get him, Kamala, And I think when she's in those shoes, that's when she's her most authentic self. So it doesn't surprise me that a blind study of how she actually is would resonate with people.
But here's the reality.
You cannot try to become this new candidate or your authentic self. And to Catherine's point, I looked at the data. I was fascinated by the data. But a blind test is not what voters are going to decide when they go into the voting booth. And the reality is what people think and perceive is often their individual and personal reality. So if they perceive Trump to be better on the economy, better on crime, then that's a net gain potentially for him.
It could be their individual. I think that maybe for a lot of voters it is that. But I think there's also a lot of evidence that voters already have preconceived notions about what the political parties are going to do for them. So a lot of voters believe that Republicans in general are better on the economy, even though there's a lot of evidence that Democratic presidents have been better on job growth and on GDP.
Economy,
And when you ask voters, they'll say, oh, just any Republican is better than a Democrat.
Let's agree that you're right. Then this goes right to the thesis that they chose the wrong jockey to deliver the mandate.
No,
because you're basically saying these are the right policies in the wrong jockey's mouth.
I think that there are a couple of issues here. One is I actually do think Kamala Harris has not been the most effective communicator.
You don't say.
Of her.
Oh
of
my
her agenda.
Goodness.
I think
what a
actually
shockaroo.
Republicans have been better at branding her than she has been at branding herself
Which
on
is a
some
part
issues.
of the process of electoral
that's
politics.
Part of the issue.
Exactly.
I think the other problem, frankly, is us, the media, in that policy coverage kind of always gets crowded out of elections, in part because horse race coverage is easier, it's more digestible, voters want it. But it's especially hard to get policy coverage in this kind of environment where Trump is on the ballot.
But here's
he'll
where
say something crazy.
But here's what that's very true. But here's what I think we're missing, even from the polling numbers. And let's remember, Kamala Harris had a very constricted time frame, right? When she came out as the candidate, people liked her. Democrats liked her. Her numbers went up. They skyrocketed. Then she started talking about the policies. If you look at the poll,
then she started
if you
talking.
If you
That's
look
all.
at the poll,
Just talking.
Kevin, let her finish.
If you look at the polling, she has closed the gap on the economy. She's closed the gap on inflation. She's closed the gap on immigration. So if she wasn't really selling her policies, that wouldn't have
let me
happened.
also add
the
one
problem
more.
is, I don't think that there has been time enough to close the gap where everyone was
Maria,
like, why
Let
hasn't
me
she
add
put this
one more
away?
data point here, because I think that you're making an important point that if this were all just about how terrible the economy is and how bad Kamala Harris's policies are, then I don't think you'd be seeing this in terms of what the Republican Party and Trump's allies are doing in terms of spending. In their spending, which is they're putting their money where their mouth is, right? They're spending more now than in September on LGBTQ rights. They're spending less on the economy. They're spending less on inflation. Taxation is the only thing that's going up because it's going from 0 to now closer to 40%. So I don't know. I mean, you're a business guy. If they're not putting their money behind an economic message, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
I think the case I'm trying to make to all of you, and I hope I'm going to win it by the end of this show, is that there's nothing wrong with the policies or whatever they are. This is the same candidate that lost in 2019 and 2020 and has never been tested by the markets for various reasons we can argue about, but she's never won anything. And if she loses, and I'm not saying she will.
She's won a Senate seat, just to be clear.
Okay, great, but we're now
AGC.
talking about the
AGC.
presidency here, all
And
right?
she
And
was
vice
the
So if
presidential.
she
Attorney
happens
General
to
as
lose,
well.
I think the
Elected
soul
position.
searching will be picked the wrong horse.
Yeah,
Did
but
not run a
that's not
Joe
true,
policy.
Kevin.
Joe
That is
Biden
not
flamed
true.
out in the primaries with Hillary and Obama. He did not win one primary, nothing. And then he became vice president and then won the presidency.
Well, thanks to South
and if you
Carolina.
It's the same exact situation.
So maybe she'll have a unique set
And
of
if you want to,
circumstances.
Possible,
and
but
if you
it's
want
calling
to, and if you
anything.
want to look at winners and losers, Donald Trump lost in 2020.
Yes.
The only election he has won is in 2016. He lost 2018.
Okay.
He lost
How did
2020.
she
He
do
lost
that?
2022.
Make it simple.
With
How did she
Republicans.
do last night? How did she do last night?
I thought she did absolutely.
She was great,
She
right?
was good. I thought she was good. I
think-
know a lot
I
of
don't know
people.
about that.
Why
I thought
did-
she was fine.
Let me
She was
let,
okay.
let me
She was
talk.
fine.
Yeah,
Let
she's
me talk.
all right.
I thought she
Okay,
was.
well, let me
I thought she was
let me do a
fine.
quick survey just
People
because
say
I
don't-
feel like
you know,
everybody's
it's not
not.
spectacular.
One
I
word.
thought
How
she
did
was
she do
fine.
last night?
Not good.
I thought she was good.
She was all right.
Fine.
Horrific. Horrific.
Okay, all right, now we know.
But very quickly,
aight.
very
She was
quickly,
aight.
Abby. And in the panel after this, where you had the 5 undecided voters, 3 of them went away
Yeah, but the
voting
third
for
one
her,
seemed a little,
and
I don't
2
know,
of
shaky.
them were undecided, leaning towards her.
But the third
So,
was shaky, Maria.
I'll tell you what the problem
She
is.
was shaky.
Kamala is using
she
too much
convinced
political
undecided
speak, Abby.
voters, yes or no?
She convinced
She
2 out of the 5.
She convinced
Okay,
undecided
sure,
voters,
2 out
yes
of the
or no?
5.
Okay, none of them went for Trump. None of them were
Yeah,
leaning
but
towards
Maria,
Trump.
if they're not voting for her,
If
well, that's
you
not a
guys
net
are-
positive.
No,
You know
you guys
that.
are
Let me
saying
let-
that she's
Yeah.
not closing
Larry
the
in. Go
deal,
ahead.
and she actually
If
is.
I were advising the campaign, Kevin, we've heard enough from Kevin. What does Larry have to say? There comes a point when you have to be direct with your answers and you can't use political speak. And sometimes Kamala uses political speak, where let's take fracking, for example, which is, well, my values never change. Well, what's wrong with saying I changed my mind?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think the audience would appreciate that more if you gave a real valuable answer as to why you changed your mind that fits your thesis of why you don't want to do that. Just be straightforward.